Welcome to Inside AWAI. My name is Rebecca Matter, and I am super excited to be here with AWAI member Curtis Dennis. Hi, Curtis.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. I'm most excited to interview you because your story is one that I hope to follow one day, and that is turning copywriting into a family affair. But before we get to that, I just want to, if you can quickly give us a background. You know, you had a 40-year career in contracting and construction, and then you became a copywriter. So can you just quickly walk us through, like, what, why, how, when?
Yeah, so I followed my dad into the trades right out of high school. We were living in Vegas at the time, and to put that into perspective, the first commercial project that I worked on was the MGM after the fire in 1980. And then work slowed down in Vegas. We bounced to California. I hung out there for 20 years, started my own contracting business. And then in about 2004, my son, who's on the autism spectrum, he was becoming a teenager, and his outbursts and issues were becoming a bit too much for my now ex-wife to deal with. So I closed down the company and became stay-at-home dad and allowed her to focus on a website that we had built for contractors. So we did that for, I think that was 2004. And then in 2006, we relocated to Washington State. And things rolled along, but eventually just all the issues eventually took their toll on the marriage. And her and I split in October of 2010. So, and then I ended up, I didn't have to be close to Seattle for construction work anymore. So I relocated, my girlfriend and I, we just got married in March of this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So her and I decided to settle on Camano Island, which is a small island of about 10,000 people in the Puget Sound area of Washington. We live in a forest that's 150 years old. So
sounds
big
beautiful.
Trees, deers, raccoons, they're all over the place. So yeah.
I love it so much. Well, as a mom of a child who's on the autism spectrum, I thank you. Like, that is such a beautiful gift that you gave to your son and to your ex-wife at the time. And I understand from your construction and contracting background, you were getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and that was kind of a daunting task as well.
Yeah, being a contractor in Southern California, we lived in Victorville, and we served everywhere from North County, San Diego to South Bay, San Francisco.
Okay.
So sometimes we would actually be out of town for a week or 2 weeks at a time because I got in with a contractor who worked on nothing but military bases, and we followed him around for 2 years. There was 1 year, I think me and the guys were home working local 3 weeks out of the year. The rest of the time we were either flying up and down to Frisco, or we were driving down to San Diego. So the commute time was just ridiculous.
I was going to say, for those of us who think that the commute is 9 to 5, this is quite a different variation of commute. And then, so how copywriting? How did you find us? How did you decide that you would make this transition?
It's kind of a strange story, but I actually have to credit my now ex-wife with connecting me to AWAI. We came up after I started my business. A lot of my friends decided, it's like, hey, well, if Curtis can run his own contracting business, I want to do it too. And so as they got their licenses, they started calling me up, and they're like, this guy says I need a mechanics lien form, or I need a labor release. And they're like, where do we find this stuff? And we're like, yeah, welcome to the nightmare. So my ex-wife and I decided to do a website where contractors could purchase these forms in either a Word, Apple, or a PDF format, and then they could fill them out any time of the day or night on their computer and email them. When I closed down the contracting business, I think we were pulling in close to $150,000 a year just selling downloadable forms.
Wow.
So nobody had to prove to me that the internet was the way to go. I knew that the internet worked. and that it was going to continue to expand and grow. So we got on the we launched the first version of the website in 1999, literally 30 days before the dot bomb hit. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but
I do.
yeah.
I was working in it.
And so we weren't sure what to do, so we milled around with it for a few months and decided to try it again. This time, instead of looking to sell advertising space, we focused more on creating just an army of forms and instruction booklets for contractors. And that worked very well until other people started duplicating that business model and started driving the prices down. I think you can get contractor forms for a couple dollars now through various websites, but at the time you couldn't go to Office Max and get a mechanics lien form or a labor release form. They just didn't stock those things. So we created them, and it filled a niche that was needed by the construction industry for quite a while. And then in 2004, like I said, her business was going great, and it got frustrating to me that we'd go out to an afternoon movie or something, and we'd come home, and she'd be like, "Oh, cool! I pulled in $350 while we were watching, Jurassic Park," and I was like, okay, this is maddening because I was still working like a dog. So I came up with an idea for a tool for the suspended ceiling installers to use. It took me about a year to develop it and get it to market, but I've been dealing with sales tax, PayPal, and shopping carts since 2004, which luckily we don't have to worry about too much as copywriters. So yeah, the internet, been playing on the internet since 2000. But what made me finally make the change was I was always looking at copywriting as something to do in retirement.
Okay.
And in 2019, just before I went to boot camp, I completely tore my left rotator cuff. Matter of fact, I couldn't even carry my luggage when I flew down to boot camp. I had to drag it behind me because I didn't have the strength in that arm and my back, with the backpack and everything. So went to boot camp 2019, and I pitched a couple of ideas to Jen. I think it was Jen.
Would it be Jen Adams from Professional Writers Alliance?
Yes. And she said, "Do it." And I said, "Great." And I had submitted one spec assignment. I picked one and really went all in on it and ended up winning. So I got a check at boot camp. Jen approved me to write 2 articles. And I said, okay, I don't want to do construction anymore. I want to be a copywriter on my computer. And it's worked out great. I haven't had too much of a problem finding clients.
And I want to talk about that a little bit. So 2019, you came to boot camp. So you found AWI because you were entrepreneurial and with websites and writing website copy and things like that. You saw it as a potential opportunity for a retirement career. 2019 comes along. You're like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for this thing. And then 2020 came and kind of forced your hand. Do I have that part of the story right?
Yes, I wanted to finish the AWAI. While the ex and I were doing the website, when I was ready to launch my website for that tool, she says, here's a company that I found that might be able to, because we divvied up the website business. She wrote the code using Front Page 1.0.
I remember Front Page 1.0.
Yeah. So. And so she says, I'll do the coding. She says, you're more of the storyteller, so you start writing the content. So I did, and it stayed on the website until I think about 3 years after our divorce. And she finally started replacing it. But that's how I got introduced to AWAI. Was my ex-wife mentioned it casually in passing, and when I had to set up the website, I was like, okay, I need a little bit more information here. So the first course I bought was Nick Usborne's Web Copywriting 2.0.
Oh yeah.
So and that introduced me to writing around page templates and stuff, which has been immensely helpful all these years since. But that's how I got hooked up with AWAI. Was she mentioned it casually, I bookmarked it, and when I decided I needed some more experience or training on writing, I called you guys, got hooked up with you guys, and it's been great ever since.
Awesome. Okay, so then 2020 comes around and
2020.
construction shuts down. And so you were kind of forced into, you said you
Yes.
wanted to do this, let's do it now.
That was exactly the way I looked at it. We weren't allowed on any job sites. The governor completely shut down the web, all the construction sites for at least, I think it was 30 to 45 days. And then they came up with the essential worker classifications. But the problem I had was, as I started going back to the jobs, about half of the guys on the projects were saying, I don't believe that COVID, it's all a bunch of nonsense. I'm not wearing a mask. And I said, goodbye, I'll see you later. I had elderly family members living with me at the time. And I said, I can't risk bringing this home to them. And so when they shut us down there, I was actually a bit relieved, because it was like, okay, cool, I don't have to worry about catching COVID. But I decided that was the time to go all in on the copywriting. So I went ahead and applied for the reality blogger position for the B2B group, and Lisa hired me for that. And it was supposed to be a year, but with the pandemic, they ended up extending it to about 9 months. So when I was ready to hit the ground running after as a result of the pandemic, I already had a portfolio of 75 published projects sitting there waiting for me. So I put a few links up on the website, and I think I went to Indeed, and I found a company that helps contractors file their legal paperwork correctly. And they had a giant ad, I need a copywriter now. The conversation lasted 5 minutes, and I was on the team. And
because you understood the industry.
Because I understood the industry.
Wow,
and
what a great opportunity.
And they said that they were, and this is the thing I keep running into. I'm actually working with a client. We're trying to negotiate out. They do a weekly newsletter geared toward contractors, construction suppliers, those types. And it has a readership of 20,000 per week. But the person who's writing it, although she's very good at research, she doesn't know a rafter from a joist from a shingle.
Right here.
Yeah. and I mean, I checked out several of the newsletters, but we're still negotiating that. But what they're their goal is to get the readership up beyond 50,000.
Okay.
And they think that having somebody that can actually talk the contractor speak and translate it back into English for people is what they need to take their newsletter to the next level. So I'm waiting to see how that's going to pan out.
Well, everybody, if I could pause right there. So those of you who are watching us right now or seeing this recording later on, that's a really great insight to take away from this, especially if you're brand new. I've been writing for over 25 years, but you have experience in an area. I don't know any of the words that I know what a rafter, I think, is, but for him, we can go head to head for this exact same newsletter job, and they're going to give it to him every day of the week, because I'm like the girl who's doing the research. I can do the research.
Yeah.
But I don't really understand the contracting world. I don't really understand what's important to the contractors. I don't understand the different words, the jargon. And so therefore he's always going to be more valuable than I am, just because I haven't been in the industry before.
Well, and I think that when people are first starting out, I know, and I went through it too, you don't want to eliminate any potential customer. I mean, so you want to open your doors to everybody on the planet. The problem is you can't write for everybody on the planet. You don't have enough time or energy to do that. So I tell people, even if you're transitioning out of a career that you didn't like, say you were in cyber tech and you've had it with modems and cables and stuff, stick with it for a little bit longer, because you're 3 steps ahead of everybody else applying for that writing position, because you have that experience and knowledge that it's not just something you learned, it's something you've been living, which I think makes it come across as much more genuine. And I think people believe what you say a little bit more. If you say, if I'm talking about fixing plumbing leaks, um, and I've been a volunteer fireman for 20 years, as opposed to somebody who's done plumbing, I think we know whose video or whose blog post is going to get read or viewed. People want the experts, so leverage your expertise in whatever it is and use that as a launching point. You can change anytime in the future if you want to expand. I'm starting to work with a few architects now, try to get some things going with them, which is not exactly in construction, because I was the guy with the hard hat and the tool bags on climbing up and down scaffolds all day. I think my iPhone says that a typical day was 30,000 steps, 14 flights of stairs.
Oh my gosh.
And that's all with 50 pounds of tools hanging around your waist. So making the change was a no-brainer. Construction is physically demanding. Copywriting is also demanding, but I think you have to use a lot more brain power than you do muscle. So
I think your case study says your office is 27 steps away.
Yes, it's actually a little bit further, because now that we don't have the extended family living with us, we actually have the downstairs of our house, and one of the bedrooms is my new office.
So now you do have to go up and down some stairs.
I have to go up and down the stairs again. Yes,
but without 50 pounds of weight and not.
Yes, I'm generally carrying my laptop and in either my morning cup of coffee or a soda pop. Yes, so
I love that. So I want to get to your mother-daughter thing or father-daughter thing in just a second, but just really quickly for those of you watching again, when we talk about expertise, remember, it doesn't even have to be work experience. If you have work experience, like Curtis's example, by all means do that. But for my friends out there who are moms, maybe you love martial arts, like whoever you are, that's experience. Being able to talk to the audience and really understand them. Like I mentioned before, I have a child who's on the special needs spectrum. He's on the autism spectrum. I could write in that space because I understand. People can do research in that area. I'm a mom who actually understands what it's like. So who better to write for that audience than me? So think about your own expertise. The other thing, Curtis, that you brought up is, this idea of I was working with companies targeting contractors. Now I'm working with architects. At AWAI, we call that one step removed. So you have like your niche, your industry. What is the next industry that's also related? It's not the exact same thing, but it's one step removed. That's a great way for you to expand. So you can start super narrow and then just keep on moving the ring a little bit more, instead of what Curtis said, the initial thinking is I'm going to do all the things for everybody. But it's okay. Like start as focused as you can. You can always expand the rings further and further as you go. And it's so much easier for your marketing. It's easier for your writing, and you're playing into your personal strengths, which I think is always a confidence boosting approach to starting a business. So now I want to talk about the thing I really want to talk about, which is you working with your daughter. So how, my kids are now 12 and 14. And so they know the basics of copywriting. They know the fundamentals of marketing. Like we're an entrepreneurial family. It's so different having been in this world this long now, and then having kids. Like my vantage point of the world and of what the future of work is very different than mine was when I was younger. So how did this come? How did you bring your daughter in? And can you talk about the business as it stands today?
Yeah. So my daughter Shelby, you probably see her in the Facebook group. She posts a lot more than I do, because I'm not a huge fan of social media. There's a lot of distractions, and I've got client work I need to get done. But Shelby has been right after she got out of high school, she went into cosmetology school to do makeup and hair and those things. She got her diploma. And was actually working at a studio, I believe it was in Redmond, Washington, over by the Microsoft offices. But they specialized in kids. And some of those kids were on the autism spectrum. And since she had been living with her brother all these years, she, like you said, she can walk the walk and talk the talk. She gets it. She decided to leave. I don't know if there was problems with the studio. I don't know if they were selling it or a change in managers or something. But she started looking for something different, and she ended up actually taking an assistant's position at a contractor shop in Queen Anne, which is a suburb of Seattle. and they do all sorts of residential work. And she got the job because they asked her what she knew about construction, and she said, "Well, my dad's been a carpenter for 40 years." And they were like, "You're hired." So, so she stuck with that for a while. But again, not everybody runs their business in the best possible way. And so she called me up and she was just like, "I really like this. Construction is kind of feel like I'm following in your footsteps, but I'm not really feeling the vibe here. I think I need to find something else." And by that point, I had this left shoulder surgically repaired in 2019. In 2021, I had to have the right shoulder done.
Oh no.
So and I told her, I said, if it was me, I said, based on the experience I've had so far, I said, I would really give the copywriting thing a try. I said, your mom worked from home all those years maintaining the website. It'd be similar, but you'd just be typing all the time. And so I think I let her look at, I think the first, the Nick Usburn curriculum I got, I think I still have in the binder. That's how long ago it was. So I let her flip through that. And I said, it's not ridiculously complicated. It's not like learning trigonometry or rocket science. It's, basic stuff. And so she went ahead and I think bought the method and went through that and then put up her website as was it a beauty stylist? I'm not sure what the term is there, a beauty copywriter. And it took off.
Amazing.
Her first few clients were all in the hair and makeup industry. She then kind of expanded out into SEO because she's like me. She likes the black and white of coding. There's a lot of gray in writing, which some days I just have to walk away from it for a while.
You and me both.
Yeah, you need a break. But she started on that, and she's just I don't know if it was the way she presented herself or her website, but she got people to start hiring her, and now she's expanding out. I think she's actually started a class for writers that suffer from ADHD to help them organize their processes and everything.
Yes.
So she started with copywriting and then said, well, wait a minute, I can use the copywriting to help people with their so
I love that.
I haven't checked in on her new site or anything yet. Her and I have both been going 90 miles an hour since the end of March when we went on the cruise for our wedding. So I'm hoping to get caught up with her over the next week or so, because I know we've got boot camp coming up again, and I think I know she really, really wants to do the in-person version. But I told her, I said, I don't know that that's going to happen for a while.
This is so crazy. I didn't realize that Shelby was your daughter, and I have been chatting with her. I just looked up her LinkedIn profile, and I've been talking to her because I asked AWAI members to share their basically their elevator pitch with me a couple weeks ago. And I was so impressed at her focus of hers that she and I said, this is such a great thing. I have ADHD. My daughter has ADHD. And people think that they can't be successful. I believe it's a superpower. And if you work with it, it can actually, I think I am successful because of it, not in spite of it. So that's amazing. And I didn't even realize that she was your daughter. I was just messaging Jane. I'm like, well, now we have to interview Shelby. That would be such a great interview. And now I'm like, oh my gosh. Yes. So Shelby, I'm going to be interviewing you next. Because it would be so fun. And I have to wonder, you said, I don't know why she was so successful. I have to believe it's two things. One, it's the confidence of knowing that you can do it. It's one thing about seeing people, like someone who doesn't know you is watching this right now. And they are thinking, could I do this? And they're seeing and they're hearing you say, I've done it. But you're still a person on a screen. They don't really know you. But like my kids have no doubt in their minds that copywriters make great money. We play the game of life. And my son is like, why is there no copywriter? The copywriter makes more money than the printer. like, I know, right? But it's interesting. So I think one was the connection and seeing you already do it. Like she didn't ever have the doubt of, is this real? Because her dad literally said, this is real. Look, I'm doing it. So I think I just never thought of that before. And I think in hearing your story, I'm like, I bet there's something to that. And then again, being able to focus in on what she knows well. She went to
Mhm.
school for cosmetology. She focused in that area. And I believe she'll be equally successful in the ADHD space just because there are so many of us undiagnosed and diagnosed floating around out there.
Yeah. Well, for my son Cameron, when he was first diagnosed at age 3 to 4, it was because he had bad social.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he would walk up to two people having a conversation and wouldn't think anything about just jumping right in the middle
Yep.
of it or trying to change it, you know. Um, so his initial diagnosis was Asperger's syndrome. And then when I started seeing how as he progressed through school, I went, you know what? I'm an Aspie too. But I think, like you said, I've used it. Asperger kids have a tendency to focus in on one thing.
Yep.
And
Hyper focus.
construction has been construction and auto mechanics, because I love hot rods. Well, and maybe electric guitars, um, but the construction has been the mainstay of everything I've done since literally walking out of high school, and to be able to use it in a different light now.
I love it.
I don't have to swing that hammer. I can go bang on my keyboard instead, and make. Well, that was my big goal. Was I wanted to replace my contractor or carpenter salary with copywriting, because I didn't want to be the starving artist, which
Yeah,
Shelby thought was really cool when she was younger.
of course.
She thought it would be great to be the starving artist, and I was like, no, it's terrible. You don't want to do that. But I think using those your quirks or your personality traits or even your diagnosis, if you can spin it around in such a way that instead of it being a hindrance, it's actually it goes from being a crutch to being a pillar of your business model. I
I
mean,
love that. What
I
a
don't I
great,
don't have a problem digging in and doing hours of research, because I want to know the answer too.
because you like to
Um,
hyper focus. It's great.
the
It's a
hyper
win-win.
focus, it does come in handy. It doesn't work
Yeah.
for everything, but yeah. I've know that I've worked with or talked to a couple copywriters that deal with varying levels of dyslexia, and to me that would be the most challenging, I
My
think.
son has that too.
So, um, but I think any of these, what I like about the copywriting is, unlike my construction company, which took me a year to get up and running, to get through the licensing and the testing and the insurance, purchasing thousands of dollars worth of equipment and materials, and then trusting people that you just talked to for 10 minutes to load up $10,000 worth of material and drive off into the sunset on your behalf. Not the best business model. It's actually
Very stressful.
we're very lucky that we never had anybody get hurt, never got sued by anybody. And as far as I know, all the projects we worked on are still standing. I think I can still drive through Southern California and point out on any freeway at least a dozen projects that I've worked on over the years, which is kind of nice. It drove the kids crazy when we'd go to Disneyland,
I'm
but
sure.
yeah, but it does that experience. Like I said, I think a lot of people are like burned out in whatever they're doing, but use that as a stepping point, and then as a way to get to where you really want to be. Um, uh, it's workable. It's not inexpensive. You don't have a huge investment in time or energy to give it a shot. And worst case, when I do retire, I'll just close down the website. And
What an unexpected, like this wasn't in my notes for today. And
oh,
it was just such an unexpected gift because I do get a lot of emails from my neurospicy friends, whether they have autism, whether they have ADHD, dyslexia,
mhm.
and working around these things. So thank you for even kind of weaving that in. It wasn't an intentional part of this story. I think I'd like to close. You mentioned retirement. So what does the future look like? What does retirement, when is it coming? And what will retirement look like for you? What is that?
Um, well, I'm doing the copywriting now. My wife, she works at the post office, and she'll be able to retire in 2 years.
Okay.
So, at that point, we'll both be drawing our Social Security. I think she'll have a small pension from the post office, but we've already figured up that we're going to between Social Security and we're going to leverage the value that the house has accumulated since we bought it and do a reverse mortgage. And then we plan to travel. It's going to just be visiting the grandkids. And there's one client I'll probably still keep working for because I really believe in their product. But I expect that I'll probably be working maybe just 1 or 2 days a month after October of 2029.
How
20,
crazy that
oh,
it's already on the
2027.
calendar.
Yep. So, but no, if anybody's having, I know that I don't think the writing is the difficult part. The AWAI content is every program I've done, and I've done a few of them, are all top notch. And they all of them have left. I've walked away from all of them thinking they've answered every question I could have had. So I knew that AWAI was the wagon that I should hitch my horse to. It started at boot camp. It continued on through the reality blogger phases. I've written a couple of guest posts for Lisa now, and I still get to write for my clients about something that I know and love every day. I mean,
I love that.
who wouldn't want this for a job? I
No,
mean,
and I love that you just said you're going to keep even in retirement, you'll keep one of your clients because you believe so much in their product. And to me, I mean, that's why I love my job because I work for AWI. I come to AWI. I believe in this. I get to connect with people like you every day. Why wouldn't I? Why would I give this up? It's the best. It really is.
yeah, I think the biggest challenge, like I said, I don't think it's the writing. I think the biggest challenge that the people that are just starting out is making that shift from the employee mindset to the business owner mindset because without going into a whole bunch of detail, I mean, taxes, licensing are things that employees normally don't have to worry about. But that's just the first couple months of getting started. Once you've got your business license and your employer identification number, you never have to worry about that again. So it's a one and done type thing. So I tell people don't get too stressed out about the business side of it. It's not nearly as complicated as it sounds on the surface. I think you can file an LLC online anymore for like
Yeah.
$200, and you can get your paperwork in order within a couple days and be ready to start taking clients. And I haven't found any other business that has this little initial investment involved and the dividends. I was making between 65 and 75,000 a year as a commercial carpenter. I've replaced that income sitting at home. I take breaks when I want. It just it's not just a change of occupation. It's been a change of a lifestyle, and I think that's a part that gets missed by a lot of people who are looking just to get a better job or make more money. I make the same money, but I decide when I work. I decide which projects I do and don't take. And I eliminated that ungodly commute 6 days a week. Um,
Here, here.
it's yeah, it's I think my I bought a new truck in 2014, and by 2018 it already had over 120,000 miles on it. Since I've quit doing construction, I think I've put about 7 to 8,000 miles on my truck, and that's just because I run to the grocery store once a week. Um, so it's been not just a change in occupation, but a change in lifestyle. Stress levels gone down. Amber and I have much more time. Her job is 30 minutes from home, and she complains about her commute now. So, because she has to drive from the south end of Camano Island back over to Stanwood, where the post office is. So yeah, she's like, "Oh, this drive," and I'm like,
trust me. I fuss if I have to go to a doctor's appointment.
"Yeah,
Gotta drive somewhere.
So, but I would say people, if they have questions, I mean, I'm happy to answer questions for anybody. And if there's anything I can do to help somebody get their start, let me know. So yeah, when you guys are doing, I'm not sure if we got all the planning for boot camp done yet, but I think they've had me sit in and lead a couple of sessions here and there,
We
like for
would
headline writing
love
and
to
stuff
have
like
you.
that. So yeah, if you guys need help, give me a call. I'm going to be there anyways, and I'll be happy to chime in and answer questions any way I can.
Jade's in the background, and she runs boot camp, and we are up and ready to. We have all the dates, everything's booked, so we will be in touch. And Curtis, Thank you so much for today. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I was excited to get to be the one to interview you, but it even turned into even more than I could have hoped for. So thank you for being here today.
Oh, no, not a problem. Anytime. Anytime.
Awesome. All
Cool.
righty, everybody. Well, we'll see you next time on Inside AWI. If you have any
Okay.
questions, feel free to reach out to Curtis or to me. And I look forward to seeing you all again here next week.
All right.
Bye, Curtis.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.